What if I told you that the little pill you swallow each morning, the one sitting right there on your kitchen counter next to your coffee mug, isn't helping you like you think it is? What if I told you it could actually be increasing your risk of having a stroke overnight? I know that sounds dramatic, maybe even a little scary, but I want you to hear me out. Because this isn't one of those internet myths or scare tactics. This is something I've seen too many times. In my practice, in my own family, in the quiet, confused faces of seniors who thought they were doing everything right. You've probably been told that taking vitamins is a smart thing to do as you get older. You want to stay sharp, protect your memory, take care of your heart, and do whatever you can to stay independent. Right. So you go to the store, or maybe someone recommends a supplement. You read the label, it says, supports brain health, or boosts memory, or improves circulation. And you think, great, this is exactly what I need. But no one tells you that for people over 60, some vitamins work differently in the body. No one mentions that in certain doses, they can actually backfire. That what works for a 30-year-old doesn't always work the same for someone who's retired, has slower kidney function, or is on medication for blood pressure. Nobody tells you that the supplement you trusted could quietly raise your risk of a stroke while you sleep. And that's not okay. Because you deserve to know. You work too hard. You come too far to be harmed by something that was supposed to help you. So in this video, we're going to uncover the truth, plain and simple. You'll find out which popular vitamin could be putting you at risk, why it's especially dangerous for seniors, and what smarter, safer alternatives are out there, alternatives that most doctors forget to mention or just don't have the time to explain. I promise to break it all down in simple, clear language, no medical jargon, just real talk between you and me. And I want to hear from you too. Have you or someone you love been taking brain or memory supplements lately? Leave a comment below and just type yes if this hits close to home, or even if you're just starting to question what's truly safe. And hey, if you want honest, compassionate health advice that actually makes sense for folks over 60, tap that subscribe button and stick with us here at Elder Wisdom. We stir all about helping you stay informed, stay safe, and stay strong for yourself and for those you love. Now, let's start with the first vitamin that's been raising some serious concerns, especially for older adults like you or your loved ones. Let's talk about vitamin B6. Now I know what you start thinking. Wait a minute, B6? Isn't that supposed to be good for your nerves? Your mood, your energy? You're absolutely right. B6 is an essential vitamin. It helps your brain make important chemicals, keeps your nerves firing properly, and plays a key role in how your body uses energy. But here sits the thing nobody tells you. Too much of it, especially in supplement form, can quietly become toxic. And when you're over 60, your body doesn't process vitamins the same way it did when you were younger. Let me tell you about someone I worked with. Tom, 71 years old. Tom was sharp, active, independent. He had a great sense of humor and always took pride in taking care of his own health. One day, he read online that vitamin B6 could help with nerve pain in his feet. Just some tingling he noticed now and then. So like many people do, Tom went out and got himself a high-dose B6 supplement, 100 milligrams a day. It seemed harmless. I mean, it's just a vitamin, right? But within a few weeks, Tom began feeling off. He started losing his balance, like the ground was shifting beneath him. His fingers felt numb, like he was wearing gloves. His feet, like blocks of ice. And the scariest part, he didn't know why. He thought maybe he was having a stroke. But after some tests, we discovered the culprit: vitamin B6 toxicity. His blood levels were way above normal. Now here sits what you need to know. When you take high doses of B6 day after day, it builds up in your body, and that buildup can damage your nerves. In fact, it can mimic stroke symptoms or even mask early signs of a real stroke. That's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. And this risk is especially high in seniors. Why? Because as we age, our liver and kidneys slow down. So instead of flushing the excess B6 out, it sticks around. And that sits when the trouble starts. But here's the real problem. Most people don't know this. They assume it's just a vitamin, How bad can it be? But I'm here to tell you, too much of anything, even a good thing, can be harmful, especially when your body's more vulnerable, like it is in your later years. So what should you do? First, check the label on any multivitamin or B-complex supplement you're taking. If it has more than 1.7 milligrams of B6 and you're over 60, that's already over your daily recommended limit. Second, talk to your doctor, especially if you're taking B6 for nerve pain, numbness, or tingling, because too much might be making it worse, not better. And third, get your B6 through food whenever possible. Turkey, bananas, spinach, fortified cereals, these give you just the right amount without the overload. Don't let good intentions lead to unintended harm. And unfortunately, B6 isn't the only vitamin with a dark side. Wait until you hear about the next one, a so-called heart protector that might actually be setting you up for a different kind of stroke risk. Let's talk about it next. All right, take a breath, because the next vitamin might genuinely surprise you. It's vitamin E, the shiny antioxidant plastered on every heart-healthy, brain-boosting, age-defying label you see at the pharmacy. Let me introduce you to Marilyn. Marilyn is 68, retired teacher, loves gardening, sharp as a tack. A couple of years ago, her neighbors swore by high-dose vitamin E soft gels for keeping the heart young. So Marilyn figured, why not? It's just a vitamin. She started taking 1 Tevelos EO every evening, more than double the amount some brands push as optimal. Fast forward 6 months. Marilyn felt a sudden pounding headache, blurry vision, and weakness on one side, classic red flags we neurologists watch for. She rushed to the ER. Thankfully, it was a minor hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding inside the brain, not the clot-type stroke many folks talk about. But her doctor was stunned to find nothing else obvious. Blood pressure was controlled, cholesterol decent, no major medications interfering. Except that bottle of mega vitamin E. Here sits the science behind what happened. Vitamin E is fat-soluble, which means your body stores excess instead of flushing it out like vitamin C or the B complex. At doses above 400 IU a day, vitamin E acts a bit like a blood thinner. It interferes with the way your platelets, those tiny cell fragments, stick together to form clots. In younger bodies, that might not seem like a disaster. But in seniors, where delicate blood vessels can already be fragile, you tip the balance from helpful thinning to downright dangerous bleeding. That's exactly what set Marilyn up for a brain bleed. Now here's the big misconception. Because vitamin E shows up in skin creams, memory formulas, and longevity packs, we're told more is better. Antioxidants fight free radicals, the ads say. But the truth is, balance is what truly protects you. Not a megadose of any single nutrient, especially a fat-soluble one. So what do you do instead? 1. Skip the mega capsules. If your supplement says more than 100, 200 IU per serving, put it back on the shelf unless your physician specifically tells you otherwise. 2. Choose a sensible multivitamin with modest vitamin E, usually around 22-30 IU, that's the adult RDA. 3. Eat your antioxidants the delicious way. A small handful of almonds, a sprinkle of sunflower seeds on your salad, a side of sautéed spinach at dinner. Whole Foods hand you vitamin E in doses nature designed and deliver fiber, minerals, and healthy fats right alongside it. 4. Talk to your healthcare team, especially if you already take aspirin, warfarin, or any other medication that affects clotting. Doubling up on blood-thinning effects is a recipe for trouble. Keep this in mind, you're not quitting something good, you're choosing something safer. A lower balanced dose still protects cells without pushing your bleeding risk into the danger zone. And now, just when you thought you could spot all the obvious culprits, there's another vitamin lurking in plain sight that you probably never expected to be risky. It's featured on every cereal box, prenatal tablet, and energy drink. But in seniors, it plays by a different set of rules. Let's pull back the curtain on that one next. Now here's where things really start to surprise people. Because the next vitamin we're going to talk about, well, it doesn't sound dangerous at all. In fact, it sounds helpful, maybe even essential. Folic acid. You've seen it in breakfast cereals. You've heard about it in prenatal vitamins. Doctors often recommend it during pregnancy to help prevent birth defects, right? So it must be safe. Well, not always, especially not as we get older. Let me tell you about Linda, a 66-year-old woman I worked with not long ago. She was vibrant, loved to travel, recently retired, and taking good care of herself. After menopause, Linda began looking for ways to support her overall health, especially her heart and brain. She picked up a multivitamin labeled Heart Smart for Women 50 Plus. It had folic acid, 400 micrograms per dose. She took it faithfully every morning with her orange juice. A year later, Linda started experiencing strange symptoms. She was forgetting names she used to recall easily. She lose track of her thoughts mid-sentence. Her hands would feel oddly cold and numb, like they'd fallen asleep, but they hadn't. And there was this constant fatigue that didn't match her normally upbeat spirit. Blood tests revealed something shocking, sky-high levels of unmetabolized folic acid. But even more concerning, she had a severe vitamin B12 deficiency, something folic acid had completely masked. Here's what most people don't know. As we age, our liver and digestive systems slow down. That means when we take synthetic folic acid, especially from supplements, our bodies aren't as efficient at converting it into the active form it needs. So instead of being used, it builds up, quietly, silently, month after month. And this is where things get dangerous. When folic acid levels are too high, they can hide the warning signs of a vitamin B12 deficiency, something that's already more common in older adults. Why does that matter? Because a lack of B12 can lead to neurological damage, confusion, numbness, fatigue, and even stroke-like symptoms. So while Linda thought she was supporting her brain, that daily supplement was actually putting her at risk. Now, here sits the common misconception. Most people think folic acid is only for pregnancy or that it's harmless no matter who takes it. But in seniors, too much of it without enough B12 is like putting a Band-Aid over a warning light on your car's dashboard. It hides what's really going on until things break down. So what can you do instead? First, look at your labels. If you're taking a multivitamin or fortified food, check how much folic acid it contains. If you're already eating folate-rich foods, like leafy greens, lentils, or citrus fruits, you may not need an extra synthetic dose. Second, ask your doctor or pharmacist if your supplement contains methylated folate instead of regular folic acid. Methylated folate, also known as methylfolate, is the active form your body can absorb and use immediately without overloading the system. It's especially important for folks who have certain genetic variations that affect folate metabolism. And third, always make sure your B12 levels are being checked regularly, especially if you're taking folic acid or if you've noticed any strange neurological symptoms. B12 deficiency is sneaky. It doesn't always show up with obvious signs until the damage is already happening. You see, vitamins aren't just extras. In older adults, they can act more like medications with real effects on the brain, the blood, and the nervous system. We've got to treat them with the same respect and the same caution. Now, we've talked about a few vitamins that are easy to overlook. But coming up next is one that sips everywhere. In grocery store aisles, in doctors' offices, on health blogs. It's the golden child of modern supplementation. But for some seniors, it could be silently calcifying your arteries and pushing your stroke risk higher every single day. Let's talk about vitamin D next, and the real story nobody tells you. You know how everyone keeps saying, get more vitamin D sunshine in a capsule? Well, meet George, 74, retired engineer, loves morning walks and tinkering with old radios. At his last checkup, George's doctor found his vitamin D a bit low, nothing urgent, just common in seniors. The doctor suggested 800 IU a day to top him up. George, being the diligent type, went home and thought, if 800 is good, surely 1,600 must be twice as good, right? So he doubled the dose, day after day, thinking he was doing his bones and brain a huge favor. Fast forward 3 months. George was suddenly confused, couldn't remember where he left his keys, then his words. His blood pressure shot up. He wound up in the hospital, dehydrated, dizzy, and frightened. What happened? When we dug into his labs, his calcium levels were through the roof. Why? Because too much vitamin D tells your gut to pull extra calcium into the bloodstream and keeps telling it day after day until your blood turns into a mini cement mixer. Here's the science in plain English. High calcium levels start stiffening your arteries, turning flexible blood vessels into rigid pipes. Rigid pipes can't handle pressure changes. They crack, they clog, they cause strokes. So that sunshine supplement that's supposed to help your heart, at mega doses, it can quietly turn into the storm cloud that puts you in the ER. And here sits the big misconception. People think vitamin D is natural, it sets from the sun, you can set overdose. But remember, your skin makes vitamin D gradually, with lots of built-in checks and balances. A capsule bypasses all that. Down the hatch, straight into the bloodstream, no safety valve. So what should you do? First, don't guess. Test. Ask your doctor for a simple blood test, 25-hydroxyvitamin D. If your levels are fine, you may not need a supplement at all. Second, if you do need one, aim for 600 to 800 IU daily, right in that sweet spot most seniors need. Not 2,000, not 5,000, certainly not 10,000, unless a specialist is monitoring you closely. Third, spread your sunshine naturally. A short stroll in the early morning light, a plate of salmon, a small glass of fortified milk. Real food plus modest sunshine gives you the balance your body understands. And remember, if you already take calcium pills for your bones, pairing them with high-dose vitamin D is like stepping on the accelerator and the brake at the same time. Eventually, something's going to break. Now take a moment. Breathe. Check that bottle in your cabinet. What number do you see? If it's higher than 800 IU and you've been taking it every single day without a test, have a quick chat with your healthcare provider. Because the truth is, more sun in a capsule can harden, not help, your vessels, and no one wants that surprise at 3 in the morning. But hold on, before you rush off to clean out the medicine shelf, there's one more supplement we need to talk about. It's such an herbal superstar you so find in every memory boost formula, touted as natural and ancient. Yet for many seniors, it quietly raises the risk of dangerous bleeding. Let's shine the light on Ginkgo Biloba and see why natural doesn't always mean safe, especially when you're over 60. Picture this, you're at the pharmacy strolling down the supplement aisle, and you spot a shiny green bottle that promises sharper memory, better focus, and a younger brain. It's Ginkgo Biloba, an herb that's been around for thousands of years, extracted from the leaves of one of the oldest living tree species on Earth. The label reads, supports cognitive function. You think, I could use that. So you add it to your basket, maybe right next to your low-dose aspirin and blood pressure pills. Now let me share the story of Peter, a 73-year-old I treated not long ago. Peter was an avid crossword puzzler. He worried about losing his edge, so he took one 120 Ginkgo capsule every morning. He felt fine until the day he slipped on his front steps. It was instead a dramatic fall, just a little stumble. But within hours, Peter's side was swollen, bruised, and tender. By the time he got to the hospital, a CT scan revealed serious internal bleeding. Why did such a minor fall turn into a major emergency? Because Ginkgo acts like a blood thinner. And Peter, like many seniors, was also on baby aspirin for his heart. The combo turned his bloodstream into water. So that tiny vessel tear from the fall, it simply wouldn't stop leaking. Here sets the plain language science. Inside your blood are tiny fragments called platelets. When you get a cut or a bruise, those platelets stick together, forming a plug that stops the bleed. Ginkgo changes the way platelets clump. On its own, that might not sound terrible. But stack it on top of aspirin, clopidogrel, warfarin, or even high-dose vitamin E, and suddenly, your body's natural braking system is gone. Any bruise can become a bleed. Any small bleed can become a crisis, especially inside the skull where there's no room for extra fluid. Yet the biggest misconception I hear is, it's such a plant, it's such natural. How dangerous can it be? But you and I both know plenty of natural things that can hurt you: poison ivy, hemlock, rattlesnake venom. Natural doesn't mean harmless. So what should you do if you're thinking about or already taking Ginkgo? First, open a conversation with your doctor or pharmacist. Tell them every supplement you use, especially if you're on any medication that affects clotting, blood pressure, or circulation. Second, keep track of bruises that come out of nowhere, bleeding gums, or a cut that won't close quickly. Those subtle signs often whisper danger before a big bleed screams it. Third, remember there are other proven ways to keep your mind sharp. Learning something new, staying socially connected, moving your body, and eating a diet rich in berries, leafy greens, and omega-3s. These don't thin your blood the way ginkgo can. Supplements can be helpful, but they sift tools, and every tool misused can cause damage. And that brings us to the emotional heart of this topic. You know, it's just terrifying to realize something you trusted, something you thought was helping your brain, your heart, your longevity, might actually be putting you in harm's way. And for many families, that realization comes too late. It doesn't show up in flashing lights. It creeps in quietly, a slow change in balance, a little more confusion than usual. And then, all of a sudden, a fall, a stroke, a hospital room. And no one saw it coming, because who would ever suspect a little bottle that said supports brain health on the label? That's heartbreaking, because the intentions were good. The goal was to protect, not to cause harm. But in this season of life, intention isn't enough. We need clarity. We need wisdom. We need awareness. And now you have that, because here sits the truth. You are not in the dark anymore. You're not blindly following what's on the shelf, or what a neighbor recommended, or what a glossy magazine ad said. You are informed. You were paying attention. You're making decisions from a place of love and knowledge. And that alone puts you miles ahead of where most people are. This is instead about living in fear. It's about living with foresight. It's about protecting your future, not just for you, but for the people who love you, rely on you, and want to see you healthy, alert, and safe. So here sits what I want you to do right now. Today, go to your cabinet. Pick up the supplements you take, or the ones your spouse, your parent, your friend takes. Turn them over. Read the labels. Are the dosages way above what we talked about today? Are there ingredients like ginkgo, B6, or megadoses of D that haven't been reviewed with a doctor? Don't wait. Have that conversation. Call your doctor, schedule a review. Even one small adjustment could prevent a tragedy later on. You're not just taking charge of your health, you're doing the most loving thing possible, seeking truth, seeking clarity, seeking to protect the ones you care about in the quiet, behind-the-scenes ways that matter most. And that makes all the difference in the world. Let's do a quick recap, because this isn't just information. It sets a checklist that could change lives. We talked about 5 common supplements that, if misused, can quietly raise stroke risk in seniors. Vitamin B6 can cause nerve damage and stroke-like symptoms at high doses. Vitamin E thins the blood and raises the risk of bleeding in the brain, especially when combined with aspirin. Folic acid masks vitamin B12 deficiency, leading to neurological decline in older adults. Vitamin D, high doses can raise calcium dangerously, stiffen arteries, and spike blood pressure. Ginkgo Biloba, a natural memory aid that can thin the blood and increase bleeding risk, particularly if you're already on meds. Now I want to hear from you. Have you or someone you love taken any of these supplements? Did a doctor ever mention the potential risks? Drop a comment below. We read every single one, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe to Elder Wisdom. This is a space where we strip away the noise, cut through the confusion, and speak plainly with compassion and care about the things that truly matter in this stage of life. Click the like button too. It helps this message reach more people who may not even realize the dangers sitting in their own kitchen cabinet. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's not easy facing the hard truths, but you did. You showed up, you listened, and you chose wisdom. Stay alert, stay compassionate, and as always, stay wise with Elder Wisdom. We shall see you in the next video.